So real quick, before we get started, who currently has a blog on their website that they work with? One, two, three, four. Is anyone writing their blogs for their website? Does anyone want to start a blog for their website, potentially? Okay, cool. Does anyone use WordPress? Okay, cool. So we use WordPress out at Crew, so that's kind of what I'll be talking about later. And just so you know the connection for Deb and I have Deb's position out at Crew. So she's actually the one who started the environmental education specialist position out at the nonprofit, and I took over that position about almost 3 years ago. And so her and I have been working back and forth on kind of continuing it, and she has been a huge mentor for me. So this is awesome that I can do this with her. But so just to go over, a blog is basically a more personalized writing that you can put out there. And so for some people, a blog could be how I live my life with my 3 children and craft. Or your blog could be about your business, or it could be about, but it's just more personalized. You have a voice to it. It's not very rigorous or anything like that. And so I think the fun thing about blog is that still have fun with it. You know, this is for your readers. And so if you have fun writing them, hopefully people will have fun reading them. And so I'm just going to do kind of like a case study on what I have done over at Crew and what's worked for us. And so Crew is a small nonprofit. It's only 2 of us out there. And the Crew Trust, our mission is we are dedicated to preserve and protect the Corkscrew Regional Ecosystem Watershed, and that's what Crew stands for. And so within that, we do environmental outreach and education, as well as we help with land acquisition and, when we can, land management. And so what we're trying to do is get people to our website to donate or sign up for events, or just kind of stay in touch and hear what's happening with Crew. And so for our blogging technique, my goal for this when I was starting to get ready for season and write our blogs is just to make sure that I wouldn't have to write anything during season. So that means that from October, or even like honestly September to April, I would not, unless an event or something came up, that I wouldn't actually have to write, because it's just, you know, we already do a lot. So we want to make sure that content's already there. As for our organization, the things that they were looking for is to make sure that we had marketing for all of our events, to have a consistent and regular news feed. So that way, anytime somebody's on there, every Monday or every Wednesday, there is something new for them to read, so it's not stagnant. And then to have more traffic come to our website, which comes if people are typing in Bird Rookery Swamp, which is one of our trail systems, and I'm typing or posting more blogs about it, the likelihood of them finding our website increases. So we always want to keep continuing to have more traffic come to our website. And then to have more clicks and actions. So anytime you have a blog, you want to make sure that you have a link to either go to the event that you're blogging about, or a link to go volunteer, or a link to go donate. You always want to make sure that there's some type of action that they can take away for, so it's not just a read. And even that action might even just be sharing it. Be like, hey, thanks for reading this blog. Make sure you share this afterwards. And so our big outcomes for our blogging strategy was to make sure that there was at least 1 blog a week. There was something new constantly, at least once a week. During special events or occasions, we might have 2 blogs a week. And then to make sure that each blog had links to go back to whatever we needed it to, whether it was volunteering, an event, or to donate. So that was kind of like the background for this. And so during what Deb was mentioning, our off season is summertime, and then as soon as October, September kind of starts up, that's when things really start to pick up for us. So I was lucky enough to have about 3 months during summer to like really sit down and type up basically a blog a week, sometimes 2, which ended up being like 40-something blogs, which is a lot of writing. And so, especially with me and how I write, I'm a slow writer. It doesn't come naturally to me. I'm not a writer. I mean, I am a writer. I'm not a natural writer. So it's for me, I knew that I needed that amount of time to make sure I got all those blogs ready and through. And so easily, how did I set this up? I worked with Deb. I collaborated with her because I knew that she has done a blog strategy before. And so I set up a Google Drive. Does anyone use Google? that should, if you're ever interested in how to use Google and how to use that to collaborate with people, that we should definitely bring that to another meeting, because this is an easy and great way to share something. So Deb and I set this up, and we have our blog strategy kind of agenda, and then we also have like the actual typed up blogs within this kind of folder, which is online, and I can access it anywhere. So I could be sitting here finishing a blog, and it would be updating everywhere. So I would have full access to it all the time, and so would Deb, which was great for me. And so this is what the blogging strategy looks like, and this is exactly what Deb had on hers. Mine's just more colorful. I'm a visual person. So all the blue lines are months, and then all of the grays are weeks that I decided not to do blogs, and then all the yellows is when I actually finished the blog. So we have, the month, you have the topics. So some of the topics that I have are the Valley of the Watershed, Falling for Crew. So all the blogs in that month would kind of go around that topic. And then I literally put the title for what blog I would have, what week, and then the date. So August 1st, I would be writing about what crew looks like during the rainy season. So if you're going to go hiking out there and you're going to be waist deep in water, you should know that. And so it literally has all those dates. And then it would even go to call to action. What do we want people to do? Sign up for a hike, take your kid out to crew. And then it would go over to the blog title and even the author. And then I use due dates in another area. So this is what it looked like. And the notes were a good part. So for me, because we're such a small nonprofit, I work directly with my executive director to set up everything. So I need to make sure everything's approved by her before I start typing out these blogs. And so we sat over the strategy and made sure we were happy with the titles and the names. And then if there was notes that she wanted to give me about, well, in that blog, make sure you put thank you to our sponsors. Or in that blog, make sure you mention this name. So I would put those notes on this kind of side area to make sure when I was typing them, I still had her vision in mind with those blogs. And so this is what I started doing. I used Google Docs, and that way it's constantly updated. I could do it from my personal computer. I could do it from my home computer. Whenever I got the blog in mind, I would start typing. And I did. I just started typing. And I have a picture in this one, but we'll talk more about adding pictures later. And I also used Google Drive or Docs because I wanted Deb to constantly be able to see it. And what's nice is that you can make comments in Google Docs. So if I had a question on something, I don't know what date we were started in this. So if I had certain questions in a blog, she could actually see that automatically and answer it. So it was an easy way for me to continue typing without having to stop and call her or email her and ask her. So this was an easy way to kind of streamline all of that. And so I just kept on typing. And then there were some times where I would have volunteers. And so you ask, like, how do you get people to write for you? Ask them. Ask them. Just be like, hey, George, I know you like to do trail stewards. Can you write a blog about this? Or, just you can either post that on Facebook or ask them in person. I've called people to be like, do you mind writing a blog about this, 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 and this? And then have it planned out and give them, a lot of advance time. And they did. So I had a bunch of my volunteers actually write some blogs for me. So about once a month I had volunteers writing blogs, which was nice so that their voice was also heard, not just mine. And I put that on there. I didn't put my name because that's a lot. So I basically typed all the way up until April 3rd. And I got to that point because I don't know what's going to happen in April. And so what I did at that point is just put in like some bullet points of things that I want. So I want firsthand things from our volunteers, having training. These are some of the things. So when it gets to April and it's still busy season, it's still easy for me to just hurry up and type in and know what I was looking for when I wasn't so stressed out. And so this is what it looks like. After my Google Docs, that's where I typed everything up, and that's where I solidified it. I had my executive director, any of the questions I had, she answered them, and then I had Deb go through and read them. It's always important, especially if you're not an excellent writer, to have someone check your stuff. That's just, and it's good too. I learned a lot from this process, especially being a new writer. And after I had everything checked out and solidified and ready to go, I copied and pasted them right into WordPress. And so this is what it looks like when you go into WordPress. You have the title, and then you have a group, and then you put your pictures. And there's a lot of different ways in WordPress that you can optimize your blog. So I have it set to go to our Facebook and our Twitter feed. And it's always important to make sure whatever you post for your blog that you have a featured image. When it it goes to your website, it's not just text, it'll have that picture too. It's important to know. All of my blogs are either in there solidified or they're scheduled to be. And now I don't have to worry about that during season. And the way that I did that, really the strategic kind of Google Sheets and then typing it all ahead of time was a huge thing. And so throughout this process, some of the things that I learned, especially being a new blogger and a new writer, is to make links first. And so when I mean that is, if you have links to donate somewhere, or if you have a link to an event, make that event page before you start writing your blogs. Even if that means you don't know where that event is going to be or what time that event is going to start, or even the description of the event, just put TBA and then post that. And so if it's on Eventbrite and you have your title there and you're waiting for it, at least you have the link. Because what I ended up doing is copying and pasting them into WordPress, and then I didn't schedule them. And so they were a draft, and I didn't go back in there and check it. And so all of a sudden I'm like, wait, where's that blog? And it didn't get posted. So it's important to make sure whatever you need in that blog to have it ready and set before it happens. And so right here, I was like, need link. It never got in there. So it's important just to make sure that you add that into. And for blogging, collaborate, but don't collaborate too much. This shouldn't be hard. It really isn't, and it's your voice. So make it easy for yourself. It's been really great collaborating with Deb because she knows my style and she knows how I write and she knows what I'm looking for. So I have a hard time with sentence structure and grammar, and I use commas in the wrong place, and she knows how to fix that. It was really nice working with her, and I mentioned that because my first blog that I did, I collaborated with like 4 or 5 other people. And so what I wrote was in red, what they wrote was in green, and then someone else wrote something in black. So people just went through and were like, oh, that's not how I would write it, which is totally fine. Everyone has a different voice. I'm very conversational, as you can tell. I'm very conversational in my writing. And that's not everyone's forte or what they like. So if you collaborate, just make sure you know who you're collaborating with and what you expect from them. Don't ask them to like read over your blog and not expect them to potentially change everything. If you're looking for grammar or certain errors, that's what you should kind of ask for. And save your pictures into a folder. Anytime you're using anything on the web and it's saving on the web, it'll make it slower if you put your pictures directly into it. So I set this blog up, and this is 10 things you didn't know about cruise history, which is a value base for me because a lot of people didn't realize that a lot of crew land had been clear-cutted and has now been restored, which I think is a beautiful thing, especially if you're walking out there. You can see it from, a new viewpoint. But I put my pictures in there so I would know what it would look like when I pasted it into WordPress, and it made everything so slow, which is not fun for anyone. And so I just made a folder and said blog folder for 2016 and put all my pictures into there, and then uploaded it into WordPress at the right time. And set manageable due dates, especially if you're trying to write 40 blogs. You can't be like, oh, I want to write 40 blogs by the end of summer. That's how you can get that done. Make sure whatever you have, it's concrete. So I'll probably do this at the next month. I use Trello. It's a time management tool. I like it a lot. It's online, and you can use it on an app on your phone, so I can constantly edit it, update it. But what I did is each month would be approximately 4 blogs. Some months would be 6 to 8. And so I would say during during 1 week, I would write 4 blogs, and then I would put them all in there, and I would check them off. And if I had a volunteer writing a blog, I'd put that in there and make sure I checked it off to make sure he was giving it to me. So I made it a weekly that I would write 4 blogs during summer to make sure that I didn't have to during season. And Trello was my way to do that. And then the last one, and then I'm done for you, so please feel free to ask questions, is to know yourself. And I say that just because when I first started this job and I had to blog during season, I was like, oh, that's fine. I can blog once a week. No worries. We're all really busy. We do a lot of things, especially for our organizations. So know whether that's possible. And if you're working with volunteers to write your blogs, make sure that you know yourself to find out how much time do you have to upload them and to post them. And then just know your voice. So if you write in a certain way and you think that's not right, that's how you write. As long as it's grammatically correct and it gets out there and it says your point, trust in that, because your blog is what you're going to be sharing with people. and it should be fun. So that's kind of what I've learned so far at Crew. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to put Deb back on. Can I do that? I think I got it.